Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak on this 18th day of April 2023. And just before we start our conversation this morning, I wanted to bring you up to date with a story that came up yesterday. The Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission Selection Committee will be reconstituted in the next 90 days. Parliamentary notice of motion drafted by the leader of majority, Kimani Ichung'wah, seeks to establish a joint select committee consisting of 14 members, 7 from each of the 2 coalitions in Parliament. Their first mandate will include reconstitution of selection panel on the recruitment of chairperson and members of the IEBC. They are also supposed to recommend legal, policy and institutional reforms to strengthen and improve the electoral system and processes in the country to ensure elections are impartial, efficient, simple, accurate, verifiable, secure, accountable and transparent. They will also collect views from stakeholders on proposals to enhance inclusivity and bipartisanship in the electoral system in the country. Their role doesn't end there. They will invite submissions from relevant constitutional and statutory bodies with a law reform mandate, including the Attorney General and the commissions and independent offices. The National Assembly will also be expected to approve several resolutions, among them that the Joint Select Committee shall report to Parliament within 90 days. Majority and minority leaders will approve final report and all bills. The committee shall have 2 co-chairs appointed by the respective party leaders, and that the committee may engage experts, professionals and other technical resource persons as necessary. All right, and with that, I want to introduce the panelists once more. We have Robert Mbui, the Deputy Minority Leader at the National Assembly. Good morning.
Morning, Sam.
Welcome back. It's been a while.
Thank you, thank you.
Nelson Koech is the Member of Parliament for Belgut constituency, Chairperson, Defence, Foreign Relations and Intelligence. Good morning.
Morning, Sam.
We have Naomi Wako, the Deputy Majority Whip. Good morning.
Morning, Sam. How are you?
Great. And we have Godfrey Osotsi, the Senator from Vihiga County. Good morning.
Good morning, Kenyans, wherever you are.
Great. It's good to see all of you here. And let's start there. Deputy Minority Leader. So you see there's a draft notice of motion, and this is what might end up bringing to the fore the bipartisan parliamentary process that we've been hearing of. What is your take on that, and are we on course?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Sam, we are not on course, Sam, because we were very clear about our demands. And from the get-go, excuse me, we see that this Kenya Kwanza side is not adhering to what our demands were. I think there's only one, in their opinion, I think there's only one issue on the table. Mm-hmm. But we had raised 4 pertinent issues. Mm-hmm. One of which we feel from the beginning, they've already started abusing the process. We had said that we need to sanitize and to create some hygiene in our political party engagements. Mm-hmm. So that when a person vies in a particular coalition or party, after the election, if they choose to defect, because that is what is done worldwide, that is discipline in parties, then they must defect and go back to the people. And they resign the office, go back to the people and seek fresh mandate. Mm-hmm. Now, unfortunately, one of the people that has been named by the team of Kenya Kwanza is a person who is a member of the Jubilee Party, which is a signatory to the Azimio coalition. So for us, we feel that we are starting off on a bad footing. And I think that we believe that, Kenya Kwanza is not very genuine about the talks. Because if you start off by immediately ensuring that one of the items on the table is already, dismissed by virtue of the appointment of the committee members, mm-hmm. then obviously we feel that these talks are probably just something that they accepted so that they could pull us out of the streets. And that is where we've said that mm-hmm. Even if we are going to continue with these talks, we must also continue engaging the general public on matters of their livelihood, because we don't think that this team is very, very fair to us.
What prejudice do you suffer by having Eden Kenan in that team?
For us, you see, Sam, the issue is this. If one of the issues that we are raising is party discipline, How then can we start discussing with a person who already belongs to our side and has been poached by the other side? It's not a matter of whether it will be fair or it will be fair to us or not. We only feel that already that is a negative side. I think for us, they need to give us a team that was elected by Kenyans as Kenya Kwanza. Then we can engage. But now picking members from our side and then they engage with us is really totally unacceptable.
Has Jubilee Party left Azimio?
Jubilee Party has not left Azimio officially.
But
that is why the Secretary General of Jubilee Party, the Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, is in all our meetings, including the demonstrations.
But
because
you're
the party is still with us.
Minority, what's her title? The deputy of the whip.
Yes.
You're kicking her out.
We are not kicking out Jubilee. We are kicking her out as an individual because of what we believe is our loyalty to the cause. And by the way, that is another story which we need to address, because I think one of the things that we are also facing is a very hostile parliament. Because you see, when we said that we'll engage outside parliament with our bipartisan talks, you know, the Kenya Kwanza leadership has always insisted that we should be doing it in parliament. But what happened last week in parliament, in the National Assembly, clearly shows why we must keep engaging outside parliament. Because parliament has been held captive. Parliament is completely under the control of Kenya Kwanza. It was so unfortunate that when we presented our letter through the leader of minority, which is basically what the standing orders ask of us when we are making any change in the whip or the deputy whip, the speaker decided to bring it for debate on the floor of the House. It's allowing the majority side to discuss the leadership of the minority. I mean, it's like Arsenal making decisions on who will be the captain of Manchester United. It is so unfortunate. And, you know, so at the end of the day, we feel that doing anything within Parliament is already biased against us. And that's why we are saying that we want to engage, but we want to engage basically outside the House.
Wow, that's interesting. What do you make of the notice of motion, Honorable Koech, even as it seeks to establish that formula that we'll see those conversations going on about IBC?
Thank you, sir. First, allow me to congratulate all the athletes who participated yesterday in Boston Marathon. That was great sportsmanship by our Kenyan team. And coming to the issue of what Robert has raised, particularly what has been tabled in Parliament. First of all, let me tell you, I see a lot of insincerity from the other side. The President has demonstrated, and our team has demonstrated that we want to have this takeoff. First of all, it is a good gesture, already rescinding a decision that almost was taking constitutional timelines and has a constitutional process to accommodate what Azimio is saying. What Robert is refusing to understand, and this is a lot of deceit and blackmail that I get from the other side, is that immediately these gestures come out. The President has reached out. You've raised some issues, and already he's demonstrated that he wants to solve those issues, and you're still having this kind of grandstanding. We will never move as a country. Let me ask Robert and their team that it is time this country has to be allowed to move. It cannot continue being blackmailed by selfish politicians. Number one, there's nothing Azimio has done that we've not done. That is, we've demonstrated every seriousness in the process. They've picked the 7 aside, we have picked the 7. They have had a PG, we have had a PG. We have sent names to Parliament, they have sent names to Parliament. What is it that they want to demonstrate, to demonstrate that we are serious about this process? If they are talking about inclusion of Kainan, I thought they would be very happy to say they have outnumbered us even in the process. Because if they are claiming Kainan is their person, then what is the issue? They should be happy that actually they are outweighing our numbers. Number two, KUP. Honorable Kosing, who is in their team, has signed, KUP has signed a post-election agreement with Kenya Kwanza. We are not complaining. We have said, and let me tell you, parliamentarians...
But Kosing is on record saying that is not factual.
Well, that is what is true. If he is denying, then that's his business. But all I'm saying is that there is a post-election agreement between Honorable Kosing's party and Kenya Kwanza. If he's saying as a person he's not crossed over to the other side, then so be it.
Who signed it?
There has been post-election agreements that have been signed by Kenya Kwanza.
That's what I'm asking. Who signed for KUP?
I will find out who exactly did that signing. But I'm aware that there has been conversation towards that end, and there is a post-election agreement. Be as it may, let's look at it even differently. You know, we think that members of parliament are so hostile to each other that they don't think alike, and they can never agree. Budget process is a product of parliament. We all sit and agree and come up with a document that is admissible in our national treasury. We sit in our committees from different political parties, and we agree and talk about issues. Look, last week we just passed the Defense Cooperation Agreement from my committee, and was tabled in parliament and was passed by the entire parliament, House leadership. In fact, it was hugely supported from the other side. What is the issue that we cannot agree with when it comes to issues that involve this country? Let me tell you, Sam, and it is very serious thing. What I'm seeing is continue shifting of goalposts from our friends from the other side. They do not want this process. When you see people raising issues, it used to be Unga. Now it has left from Unga. I'm told there is open the server maandamano. It is always mutating into something else. These people do not want to engage. They do not want bipartisan talk. They started from bipartisan talk. Now they have gone from extra bipartisan talk. Now they've gone to talks outside parliament, inclusion of other people outside parliament. And I feel very offended when a colleague like Robert Mbui, a very senior, seasoned politician from parliament, saying, no, parliament has been captured. By who? Who has captured your thoughts? Freedom of association is guaranteed in the Constitution. Any freedom of any politician is allowed to associate with any team. That does not mean that you've been compromised. These people, anyone who goes to see the president or see any other person, is deemed to be their enemy. And that is why they are de-whipped. So Honorable Sabina Chege is suffering this fate, not because of any reason whatsoever. Number one, it is because she is female. And number two, it is because they feel she is inferior. That is how they think. So they want to bring in someone else. And let me watch this space. They will replace a female who is Sabina Chege with a male. Just watch this space. Because to them, they do not believe in inclusion. They do not believe in gender equality. They do not believe on anything. So don't even pain yourself about all these things, about the noises. Let me just cut the story short, Sam. What Azimio wants, and I'll tell you here, and you'll come and tell me before, is, and you've heard them say, something akin to the National Accord of 2007. You know why they do not want the handshake? Because how the handshake was framed in the last regime, they did not benefit for anything. It was just a handshake and a benevolent gesture from the former president to say, let's work together and cease hostilities. What they want now, and which they have designed, is to make sure that they are in government. By all means. Wanaona 5 years, so they will use everything in the book to make sure that they are in government. And I will tell you, these maandamanos, they will not stop it. Because for them, it is not about Unga. For them, it's not about Mwananchi. For them, it's not about the server. For them, it is about having their space in the table. And I say that leaders are those ones who think about the next generation. Politicians think about next election. Can we have, for once, leaders in this country?
You've said quite a bit, and I'll be getting back to it. But first, let me hear from Honorable Naomi Wako, because now you look at that notice of motion that is even explaining the agenda, and essentially it's just about the selection panel, some reforms that are needed, speaking to experts. But they have said they also want the servers opened. Is that a conversation that is within the mandate of the committee, or what happens to extra issues that may not be within what the notice of motion is talking about?
Thank you, Sam. Yes, we have formed the bipartisan committee, the 7 from each side and 14 in total. But even as they prepare themselves and as they get ready to start off their mandate, the question that we should ask ourselves is, what is it that Azimio want? Because this game has been on, not only this time, but for the last many, many years. And it is like the opposition they just get into politics and be named as opposition, but in another way, they want to be part of the government. And what we have clearly seen is they are using any means that they can to get into the power. Mm-hmm. And yet Kenyans faithfully, during election, went very early in the morning, old, young, and they voted Kenya Kwanza as their government. And that is why Kenya Kwanza is the ruling party today. But unfortunately, Azimio is on it again because they are used to using people to get into power. How do they use people? By demonstration. They demonstrate, properties are destroyed, lives are lost. In fact, I have not seen anybody, sincerely talking about the people who have lost their lives. It is like immediately we formed the president agreed on the bipartisan committee, mm-hmm. They jumped into something else. Today they are talking of something else. Over the weekend, they were talking of ICC. Now it is outside parliament, and yet the community, the people, Kenyans have empowered members of parliament to deliberate on their issues in parliament. Mm-hmm. Why do they want us again to go to the street and misuse people, mislead people? And what they are doing is just misleading people, not talking the truth. The problem we have is Azimio or the opposition are used to getting into power through the back door. And I want to tell them, please be contented with what you have. Be contented with what Kenyans have given you. You have lost elections, and we as Kenya Kwanza Party, we are ready to form the opposition leader's office. The president was ahead of us, and he wrote a memo and said, can we form the opposition leader's party or opposition leader's office? They don't want that. If they don't want to be empowered as opposition, what do they want? And it is high time for Kenyans to say, we have realized that it is not about us. The cost of living cannot come cannot come down in a day. Jerusalem was not built in a day. So the president is working hard. The unga price has already dropped, and they don't see that. 2 years ago, they were in that government, and nobody complained. In fact, Raila was even saying this has to continue for some time.
Your colleague Honorable Koech just said that they didn't get anything from government apart from benevolence of the then president. Now you're saying they were in government. So who is right?
They were in that government.
They were in that
They were in
But you say they got nothing.
Nelson,
they got everything.
They did not get into an arrangement where they were actively in position
to talk, and we are waiting for them to finish.
It is my turn.
No, I'm just seeking a clarification.
Your turn will come.
I'm coming to you.
Honorable Nelson is interjecting.
I'm asking for clarification.
Just had a clarification.
So,
yeah.
I remember
2017,
2022, I was in Senate and I suffered. And immediately after the handshake, mm-hmm. We were de-whipped. So many things happened to us. We went to court and we were running up and down. Just because these guys came in and destroyed our, destroyed our stay in our home. And we became IDPs in Jubilee. Mm-hmm. You see? So they still want our Kenya Kwanza Party to go into handshake and, displace some of our people. And unfortunately, this time round, that may not work. But we are ready to negotiate. We are ready to dialogue with them. We are ready to reason. For the sake of the country, we are ready to accommodate them through the bipartisan.
I hear you, Honorable Wako. Senator Osotsi, quite a bit of accusations from the table here, but then also, are we about to see a similar motion at the Senate?
Well, maybe some allow me to have a right of reply on some of the issues they have raised.
Sure.
One of the issues they have raised is about Honorable Posing. I want to remind my friend here, Nelson Koech, that Posing belongs to a party called CUP. CUP signed an agreement with Azimio to belong to Azimio. And there is a process of exit from Azimio. You need to give a 90-day notice, and then you go through the process, you appear before relevant committees for you to exit. They have not done that. So even the agreement, post-election agreement is referring to with Kenya Kwanza is invalid and illegal, because you cannot belong to two coalitions at the same time. That is the law. So where we stand, CUP is still legally an affiliate party of the Azimio coalition. So Honorable Posing is rightly a member of Azimio. As far as Honorable Keinani is concerned, that is a demonstration of bad faith, because Jubilee is still a member of the Azimio coalition.
Right.
We know we have a problem between the two factions in Jubilee, the Kioni and Kanini Kega's faction. The matter is in court. And even after the court process, they have to go through an exit process, which they have not. So what we are saying, we cannot negotiate when one of the issues we want to negotiate is about multi-party democracy and the respect of political parties. So that is not demanding too much. They just need to substitute, remove Honorable Keinani and bring, they have so many members of parliament, and bring one other member. Maybe they bring Nelson Koech as a member of the bipartisan team. The other thing is, you know, every time you listen to Kenya Kwanza, they have no substance. They just talk about Raila Odinga, they talk about handshake, they talk about maandamano. But what are the issues? Azimio is very clear on the issues they want. We have said that we are ready to engage in bipartisan talks. But there are some things that must be done before. We have said one of the issues that we are pushing through is the cost of living. Unga should go down to 100 shillings per 2 kg packet. That has not happened. I heard Ruto say that Unga is going to reduce to 150 shillings this week. We are not talking about 150. We want Unga at 100 shillings. Because they themselves promised us that when they put the Bible down, Unga will be 70 shillings.
So where do you want that conversation held?
We want that conversation because Azimio is not pushed with the public, with the people. Because even these members of parliament, the authority they hold is not theirs. It is delegated by the people of Kenya under Article 1 of the Constitution.
So, wait, you want a conversation with the people or within the partisan team or the reduction?
Let me be very clear that we have members of parliament. We are saying that this process cannot be divorced from the general public. We have other stakeholders who have to be engaged. We have the religious leaders, we have the trade union, we have the workers of this country, and many, many other people who their input is very important. So we want a process.
Input on?
Input on the issues that we are going to discuss.
Cost of living?
Cost of living.
IBC? Constitution.
Opening of servers, and any other issue, even constitutional reforms that they're talking about. They are talking about entrenching the office of the opposition leader in the constitution. So these are issues that cannot be handled in parliament alone. And even history tells us that at a critical time when we had issues of national concern, parliament never operated independent from the people. You remember when we were fighting for a new constitution, we started with the Wako draft, which was largely parliamentary driven, and that's why it was rejected. Then we came to the bombers. Bombers, they were not only members of parliament. We had various stakeholders. Then the bill now was brought on the floor of parliament and passed. When we had the post-election crisis of 2008, we had Serena talks, which were done outside parliament. And whatever they agreed was endorsed, and adopted in the House. So we are saying...
What is the big problem with Parliament for you?
The biggest problem with Parliament, and I want to tell that Kenyans this morning, and Kenyans know that Parliament has delegated powers. The real powers are with the people of Kenya. And where the people of Kenya feel that they need to be involved in a process, give them that chance. Give them that chance. If you look at this Parliament,
right,
and I want to support Honorable Mbui, this Parliament that we have is not the Parliament that we expect to deliver on matters affecting Kenyans. The two speakers are actively in competitive politics. They are party leaders of competing political parties. Honorable Amason Kingi is a leader of PA. Honorable Moses Wetangula is a leader of Ford Kenya. And they are seated there. They are supposed to be independent arbiters in the House. They can never be independent arbiters. And you have seen that one of the things Ruto did when he went to power was to start buying opposition members of Parliament.
How much?
They were bought. I don't know how much. They will tell us. But one of them told me that he is enjoying because he's receiving money from the executive. Oh. So we are
Senator,
in a situation.
I've had a lot of those allegations, and I'm not saying they were not bought or they didn't receive money, but now you confuse me and the viewers because you keep saying it. It doesn't become the truth because you've said it. Would you want to substantiate?
I have said it because we sit with these people in Parliament. We take tea with them at the tea area there. When we leave here, we'll go and sit there and start taking tea. And there's some things they say before us, openly, like this one. And as a leader, I cannot hide some of this truth from the public. I will say it out.
You don't know the range?
The range, the amount of money involved, it varies. People have different pay grades. So the point...
Give me a range.
I was saying people have different pay grades. There are those who are paid, who are more expensive. There are those who are down here. But the most important point I want to bring is that though we are sitting in Parliament, but we have a serious problem in our Parliament. And I think this is the worst a government can do to a nation. That the first thing you do, you go and dismantle the Parliament that is supposed to represent the interests of the people. What we are saying, and that is one of the issues why we are against K9, that one of the issues we have put on table is the issue of respect of political parties and democracy. Okay. And therefore, you cannot bring as a Senator, member who is one of the victims of that. And on the issue...
No, just hold on.
On the issue of...
Don't repeat it. Let's just take a short break. When you come back, we continue this conversation. And also looking at where IBC has come from, the selection panel that is now in controversy, whether we have been before, where we should be heading in the coming days, weeks, months, and probably years after the break.